Good afternoon. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. We are here to learn about CMA's newest grant program. And we have a number of new grant programs, but this is the one that has an April deadline. So I guess we could call it new. It's the Thea Musgrave Performance Fund. I am joined here by Jose Feliciano, Director of Grant Programs here at CMA, and welcome to those of you who have joined in. And so today we're going to be talking about the Thea Musgrave Grant Performance Fund. And I always like to start with the deadline because we don't want the deadline to creep up on us. And so that's Thursday, April 16, and that is at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. But that allows for our West Coast folks and Midwest folks to come in. So the notification is going to happen in July of this year, and the grant cycle is July 1, 2026 through December 31, December 31, 2027, which gives plenty of time for performing and for programming and performing works by Thea Musgrave. Okay. Types of projects funded. Okay. So on a grant program, a grant application, you must perform at least one work by Thea Musgrave on your concert program in order for your application to be eligible. There must also be an audience engagement component. And we've given some examples: pre or post performance talkback, a panel, education session, highlighting Thea Musgrave's biography, her artistic influences, cultural and historic context of her work, and her continuing impact on contemporary composition. And her works can be found at this link. And I hope that you've had a chance to look at the works list. So the grant components and the time period and funding amounts. So all Thea Musgrave Performance Fund grant projects must take place in that grant cycle I mentioned, July 1 of this year through December 31, 2027. That's a pretty wide range. And the grants range from 1,000 to 5,000. And so the program will fund 100% of the eligible expenses within the grant range. In this program, we are not requiring any matching funds from any other source. So this is fully from this program. However, we want to note that grant funds are taxable income and that grantees must comply with all applicable city, state, federal laws, ordinances, codes, and regulations regarding the reporting of grant funds. So that means that if you are funded, you will receive a 1099 from Chamber Music America because it is income. Okay, our funding priorities. CMA gives priorities to projects that follow our grant guidelines, that create more access to chamber music. That's who we are. Foster a sense of respect and appreciation for chamber music, and create opportunities for ensembles and or presenters to engage with current and new audiences. So all applicants must be members of CMA at the organization level. So it isn't for solo plus somebody or whatever. You have to be an ensemble. And you must have no overdue reports or any financial obligations to CMA. What is that? Like, you don't have any grant projects that are open and maybe way overdue, or you've advertised in our magazine and you never paid. That's a financial obligation. So we want to make sure that everything is up and up, and that you agree to acknowledge the Thea Musgrave Performance Fund and CMA in all programs and press materials. So ensembles are eligible if you're based in the U.S. or its territories, and the leader or primary member is a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident, and that your ensemble primarily performs Western European or non-Western classical and contemporary music, which works very well with Thea Musgrave and who she is and her works, and consists of 2 to 10 musicians, either as a fixed roster or a flexible collective. So the duos must perform as equal partners and publicize themselves as a duo, not soloist plus. And I think that that's pretty clear. And so we do fund rehearsal and performance costs and any audience engagement activity. So that's like that pre-concert, post-performance, sort of these activities. And if you plan to have a recording, there is a place in the budget for that, or a streaming component. So it's got some flexibility to it, but that is $1,000 to $5,000 in that range. So we do not fund ensembles whose primary presentations or performances are opera, chorus, orchestra, solo recitals. And that's why I mentioned that about duos. It's not about a soloist plus. And music for dramatic works, staged or unstaged. Incidental music for other media, such as dance or film. And that, please note, now there are a number of works in Thea Musgrave's works, chamber music works list, her oeuvre, as we would say, and that are for soloists with tape. I mean, who used tape now? But anyway, maybe people are still using tape, or in this day and age, we would say playback, or ensembles that are larger than 10 musicians. So, but ensembles that are larger than 10 musicians, we would fund like a flexible roster, but subsets from within. So, but not for a chamber orchestra or larger than 10 musicians. And that is from CMA's founding members, 2 to 10 musicians, 1 per part, generally without a conductor, generally. But we know about some contemporary works that do require. So, required uploads. Okay. So we ask for 2 ensemble audio samples in the program, in the application for the program. And they should be up to 4 minutes each and feature works for small ensemble, 2 to 10 musicians again. And samples should demonstrate the ensemble's performance level and must feature either full ensemble or at least 50% of its musicians. So that would be for the flexible roster type of ensembles, that we want to make sure that whoever is going to be funded through the program will indeed be performing on the performances. We state soloistic works are not recommended, and a duo must submit duo works. And we only accept MP3 or M4A. There's no video, no YouTube. People have asked about this. No Vimeo, only MP3 or M4A. The samples do not need to be of studio quality, but should really demonstrate how well the ensemble performs together and within the last 2 years, because we want to know who is the ensemble now and who would be performing the work or works if funded. So we have these required uploads. There's a budget template, and there is one in the, so you would have to upload your budget, your project budget. And we do ask in advance for photos. So that means if you are selected, we don't have to say, hey, we need your photos. And then we're coming after, or we're chasing people down. It has happened. So we want to have it on the front end so that we're all set. Now, the panel review process. Applications are reviewed by an independent panel of chamber music professionals, and they are versed in current compositional trends and performance practices. We, CMA staff or board members, do not participate in that selection process. So what we'll be doing is looking at the written narrative, and these are the components of the application. So the written narrative review is 50%. Really, what are you planning to do with Thea Musgrave's works? Project description, timeline, prior record of achievement. Maybe you've played her works before, or maybe this is something brand new, but you've done other works. Your intended impact and audience reach. And the details can include your alignment and vision with the vision and goals of Thea Musgrave's Performance Fund grant program and the impact that her works and a grant would have on your applicant's ability to carry out the performance of a work, at least one work. That's all that is required. But you can have more, of course, by Thea Musgrave. And then your planned audience impact uh, and build how you build appreciation of Thea Musgrave's work. She's got quite a vast repertoire. So anyway, and then we listen to the work samples. So there would be an artist statement and two audio samples, which show your technical level and how you're able to perform Thea Musgrave's work at a high level. That's something that the panel will listen to, and that's 25%. As you notice, the budget narrative is really very important because we want to know what you're going to do. But the work sample is part of that whole that we want to know. And then the budget review is that you understand what appropriate industry rates are. It's 1 to 5,000. And so we want to make sure that if you're asking for this amount, we want to know that it's within range, within reason. And if there are any additional costs outside of the budget, like let's say you have to rent a venue or something, rather expensive, like you're going to rent Wild Recital Hall or something like that. We want to know where you're going to get the rest of the money, and so that you are able to see the project to fruition. And so, if you are awarded, the member of the ensemble that is making the application, we do need to have that person be the person that's responsible for serving as our point of contact. And so how things are going, you have a performance coming up or what have you, or that's if you're funded. And that we ask for you to provide documentation of citizenship of that primary contact person or their permanent resident status, or if you're nonprofit, your 501c3 statement. And so that person then is responsible for receiving and managing the funds. They are the point of contact on the grant. And then they are the point of contact filing the reports and any associated documents that go with it. And you are, as an ensemble, required to maintain your membership throughout the grant period. And so then any reports, reports must be for grantees that remain in good standing with CMA. That doesn't mean that you're a member at getting the grant and then you don't finish the grant being a member. You do need to keep your membership up to date. So anyway, okay, and then grants dispersal. So the full grant payment will be dispersed after signing the agreement. And then we have all these different, grantee intake form, your proof of residency, bank information, all of that. These are all the logistics, nuts and bolts. And as I mentioned before, grant funds are taxable income and you will receive a 1099. So we do not make funds through a fiscal sponsor. So that person, whoever the primary person is, if you're not fiscally sponsored and if you're not 501c3, then that primary contact would be the one who is receiving the funds and then paying out their partners and making all the other, these are things to manage. So, and grantees are expected to fulfill all parts of their project, meaning what you say in your application is going to be adjudicated. And the panel is going to say, okay, we understand what this ensemble wants to do. Okay, and we are fine with that. So you can't just say, well, we're going to take this money and then not perform any works by Thea Musgrave. That would be like disqualification. We don't want to go there. But there are things that do shift and change. Like some of the other works around the the work that you're planning on performing. And so that can result in loss of ability to apply for CMA funding in the future. And so anyway, we have that outlined in our grant guidelines, grant contract. So to submit an application, many of you know, we use Submittable like many organizations do, and it is free. If you don't already have an account, you can sign up for one, and it's free. So you have to complete the online form, you draft the responses, you back it up, you save it, and then you can return to the application and continue working on it for when you have time. But you do need to have it in by 11:59 on that deadline. And so I always tell people, which is why I start with a deadline, do it the morning of. If you're waiting till the last day, the morning of. God forbid, the internet goes out, you have a power outage. We had a power outage here. And so, and an internet outage, anything can happen. So just get it in. And so, anyway, and then, okay, then you click on the Thea Musgrave Performance Fund, you complete all the required fields. So including the text box, the funding request, audio sample, and all of that. And prepare and upload your budget, etc. One thing I want to mention about the narrative is that we do ask, okay, that you perform at least one work of Thea Musgrave, but what else are you surrounding her works with? Are they only works by Thea Musgrave? Are you doing an all Thea Musgrave program? Okay, but if you're doing other works, you know, how did they resonate with the whole concert as a curation? So that's something that our panel is going to be looking at, because they'll want to see that there's been some thought put into how the music is going to come across and what an audience will take away. And plus, you have your pre or post concert talk or anything like that that kind of gives more insight into who she is. Fascinating woman, and she's written so much. And so it's just great that Chamber Music America has received funds to share with audiences. It's just terrific. So anyway, that was a detour. And so anyway, so save your audio files and name them ensemble name, like, you know, ABC Ensemble 1, ABC Ensemble 2. We've never lost any audio files, but I think it's because we have this system. And so that because we do need the ensemble's name rather than if you just put ensemble 1. I mean, there's going to be other ensemble 1s in there. So make sure that you label it. And then when you're complete, you sign and date your application and then click to submit. And then you'll receive you'll receive a confirmation that you've received it. You can see who are some past grant recipients and any announcements. And that's it for this. So I just want to say thank you for joining today. And I think that's all we're going to do in terms of this point. And we